Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your world champion here, and we are back to talk about Mushoku Tensei. It's been a hot minute since, I've done a video about this series and about these novels that I'm going through lately. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but I was sick for a bit, which kind of put a damper on a lot of production with content, but that's neither here nor there. We are here to talk about Volume 3 of Mushoku Tensei. That's right, the Displacement Incident just happened. Everyone's scattered from the Fatoa region all across the world, and we find out that Rudy and Eris ended up on the Demon Continent. Now, we're going to go through like each chapter with some things that I wanted to highlight, with each chapter and all that. But with chapter 1 mainly, I like how we got the journey of Eris and Rudy getting to the Demon Continent. Now, it's not that big of a thing, but it's enough to be like, okay, why didn't they just put this in the anime? Because like there's a moment where Rudy is like flying through the air from the displacement incident, and he's grabbing onto Eris and he's using his magic to try to slow them down. So it's just like, okay, why didn't the anime have this? Like it could have been an easy transition between episodes to have that happen, but that's neither here nor there. But we do get our first conversation with the man god. Now, the man god is an interesting character because, like, at least for me right now, I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. He's just a guy. He's a guy here to help Rudy, I guess, whether it's for his own intentions or to actually be a good person for Rudy. But yeah, he's trying to get Rudy to trust him and all that. And he's talking to him saying, look, you're on the Demon Continent, you're about to wake up. Trust the person you're about to meet because they are going to help you get home. And when Rudy wakes up, I mean, for one thing, Rudy doesn't really want to take the advice of some random god that just shows up out of nowhere to be like, hey, look at me, I'm gonna help you. It's just like, okay, nah, I've played enough JRPGs, I've done enough dating sims, I know enough media to know that do not trust a god like this. Do not trust anybody that's just like, oh yeah, here's everything you need to know and all that. And plus, Rudy doesn't really want to follow in those footsteps. He doesn't want to follow the path of the man god because it's just like, okay, I'm not your puppet, dude. When Rudy wakes up, he meets a Superd named Ruijerd who saved him and Eris. Rudy kind of starts talking to Ruijerd and kind of starts learning that, okay, maybe the Superds aren't that bad. So Rudy's initial reaction is he's kind of standoffish a bit, and he doesn't really want to fully trust Ruijerd because, again, this could be just some random demon trying to make good with Rudy so that way he can eat him later. But once Eris wakes up, she has the proper reaction of freaking the flip out with like, okay, he's gonna eat us, he's gonna kill us, and possibly more with me because I'm a girl. No, we need to get out of here, Rudy. And luckily Rudy's smart enough to calm her down, and Eris is at a point of her life where she can actually listen to Rudy and actually kind of, follow his advice and all that. So they end up joining up with Ruijerd, and he takes them to the village that he was staying at. And it just so happens that this Midgard village is where Roxy's from. So we get to meet Roxy's family, we get to meet her tribe, her race and all that, and we kind of get to see why Roxy was ostracized from the place because like they speak telepathically. And not only do they speak telepathically, they speak demon tongue. And luckily for Rudy, he had a whole big book from Roxy that taught him the ways to talk in the demon tongue. So he's able to communicate with them. And luckily he tells Eris to just kind of zip it. Don't talk to anybody because A, you can't, and B, if you do, it's gonna probably be worse off for us in the long run. So yeah, they talk with the members of the Midgard tribe, and they end up learning a little bit more about the past. And not only just anyone's past, it's Ruijerd's past. So we get to see just what happened with the Superds. And apparently, the Superds, they were a tribe who fought under Laplace during one of the human-demon wars. And Ruijerd led his people and was able to be convinced to use these things called devil spears. Now, with these spears, they're apparently made from their tails, after they grow up, they like stiffen, fall off, and then they become the Superd's weapons and all that. But like with these spears, they basically brainwash them to become mindless beasts, to the point where like they actually killed and slaughtered their whole village and race, including Ruijerd's own son. So that's kind of why Ruijerd just like, he has this complex of like protecting kids and all that. That's why he like took Rudy and Eris, because he's like, I need to make sure that these kids are safe and that these kids get home safe. And it got to a point with this Laplace thing where he ended up waking up from all this, from like his brainwashing and everything. And he had to wake up the rest of his villagers, which, yeah, they had to destroy their spears and all that. And from that moment on, they were basically just ostracized by the whole world, just being like, you know, don't mess with the Superds, they'll murder you, they will kill you, they will keep you away from your family, like all that stuff. Like all these boogeyman tales that came from the Superds came from this moment. And it was at this point where Rudy decides that he wants to help Ruijerd. He wants to kind of help Ruijerd like make a better name for the Superds and bring honor back to that name and all that. So he kind of takes on this side mission, even though he needs to focus on getting Eris home. And we'll touch on that here in a little bit, because like Rudy, again, he's in this mindset of like, okay, I'm in a game right now. Like I'm just in this little RPG, just running around with this cute girl. Now I got a demon person in my party. Like everything's great. Everything's fan-flipping-tastic. So the group finally gets together and they're like, okay, we need to head on out. Like we need to get Eris home. And Ruijerd, you know the way around here. You're a very tough Superd warrior and all that. You can help protect us, but not only like that, but teach us how to survive and all that. So they are gifted money by Roxy's parents. They also get this sword from Roxy's parents to, you know, help protect Rudy and all that. So it's gonna take about 3 days to get to the next town, and during those 3 days, again, Rudy and Eris learn how to survive thanks to Ruijerd. They learn some teamwork and all that to see, you know, how they can really work as a cohesive unit and all that. And so again, Rudy's just kind of treating this like a game and all that. Like, you know, I need to know how Ruijerd attacks, like his attacks, his stats, and all that stuff. Same with Eris and all that. And they finally make it to one of the 3 biggest settlements in the continent called Rikarisu. And this is where we become adventurers. So we have to get into the town. I like to, and I'm surprised the anime didn't do this as well. So because of the Superd boogeyman stories and all that, Ruijerd can't really go into any towns without people freaking the hell out that, you know, Superd's in our town, he's gonna kill us all and all that. So Rudy actually creates like this stone helmet to put on Ruijerd's head, and when they meet up with the guards, he's just like, oh yeah, our brother here, he just he got his head stuck in this helmet and all that, and like he can't get it out. So they ended up going to the town and like looking at all the shops, kind of getting that prices again, kind of like the same thing that Rudy was doing when they were in the Vitoa region, when they went to town and he was going around trying to get prices and all that to see how much things cost. A good strategy from Rudy, so that way he's not getting ripped off on anything that they need. And you know, he gets a few disguises for them as well to kind of hide that, you know, Eris is a noble and all that. Like he gets this cat ear hoodie thing to kind of mask that she might be a demon or something. So that's kind of neat, that's kind of cool. And they end up dyeing Ruijerd's hair so that way he can pass as a Migard, and he uses the charm that he got from Roxy to kind of help solidify that. And I like too how he basically threatens Ruijerd with this, like, hey, if anything happens to that little charm that you have, I will flood this town, like, and lock you in it. Like, you will die. I will murder you. And Ruijerd can sense that. It's just like, all right, don't worry about it, dude. I'm not gonna mess with your charm. You know, that charm came in handy in the last village to help us, you know, convince everybody that you are who you are. I'm not gonna get rid of it. I know it's something precious to you. So moving on to like the next chapter, this chapter 7, we finally get into the Adventurers Guild. Now this, I'm not going to go through like all the rules and regulations, because that's basically what this chapter was. It was basically just like learning all the rules of the Adventurers Guild and seeing just what they plan on doing. Now Rudy ends up naming the group Dead End, which is a name that Ruijerd was going under as an adventurer and all that. And Dead End has this reputation, again, along with the Superds, because, hey, oh, Dead End the Superd, don't want to mess with them, ooh. So Rudy's whole idea here is to do good under the name Dead End, so that way that can kind of help boost Ruijerd's reputation and make the Superds look like good people and all that. And we kind of see too, just like this, because this is kind of a low-ranking guild hall. Like these are a bunch of demon folk and all that, so a lot of them are very rough and tough, and a lot of them just like don't care for newbies and all that. Like there's this frog dude who, and they changed this in the anime too, because like in the novel, he trips up like Eris, and he tries to do the same thing with Ruijerd, but he gets intimidated and all that stuff. But it's like they almost have a fight with him in the novel, whereas like in the anime, and again, I have to go back with the anime too to kind of rewatch some things, but like in the anime, if I remember correctly, it was just like, oh, he got intimidated by Ruijerd just walking by. And we also meet this horse guy named Nokopara. Now, remember that guy, because he's always in the guild hall whenever they go in there to like turn in jobs and all that. So just remember that guy. Because he's very nice, and he's always somebody that's just like always there to be like, oh, hey guys, how you doing? Oh, that's a tough little mission you got there. Gotta find those pets, huh? You're doing very well. So just remember that guy. Finally, we get to chapter 8, and Dead End get a room at an inn. It's mainly for newbies. We meet this other group known as the Tokurabu Village Toughs, which there's just a bunch of jobbers. There's just a bunch of kids trying to be adventurers. They get beat up by Eris because the one boy like kind of hits on her a little bit. So they kind of spend a night at an inn, and Rudy has another dream about the man god. So the man god visits him and says, hey, remember that board of jobs you saw in the Adventurers Guild? Yeah, that one about the missing pets. You should probably take that one. You should go ahead and do that one. And again, Rudy doesn't really want to take this advice, but he kind of does anyways, just kind of test the waters with the man god and saying, okay, what's this all about? You know, I'm trying not to follow what you're doing or what you're telling me to do, but I am curious at least. And when Rudy wakes up later on, Eris is awake, and she's very anxious because like this is her first time being so far away from home. They finally have an inn. They're finally like not camping outside, and they have a nice moment here where, you know, Rudy just comforts her and all that. I really like that because, again, it's very human. It's a typical reaction for a girl her age, because it's like, okay, yeah, you are away from home. You're on the demon continent, and you're walking with the Superd who could turn on you at any moment and just murderlize you. Like, yeah, tensions are gonna be high. So the next day, Dead End take the pet finding job, and they end up running into a group called P Hunter. Now this group consists of 3 people. I forgot the one dude's name, but it doesn't matter because he just dies after kicking Rudy, and Ruijerd just like immediately murders him after that. And you know, we meet the other 2 named Viskel and Jalil. Now this whole thing with the pets, they find out that this group P Hunter, they were not only selling pets, especially the one guy's like a pet store owner and all that. Like he was selling pets, then stealing them, and having the people, like the people who had the stolen pets, would put out these notices of, hey, I need my pet found, missing pet, adventurers please help. And then his group would take on those missions to get even more money. And then like they just kept doing this cycle and cycle. It's like, that's kind of fucked up in a way, but like kind of a smart thing too, but whatever. And it was harmless for a bit until the one guy who, you know, again ends up dying because of Ruijerd, he got involved with these 2 and was just like, hey, we're gonna make this a deeper operation basically. And he wasn't that good of a guy either, so kind of good that he died. But like, this was a big moment because Rudy actually starts getting scared of Ruijerd because of this, and Rudy confronts Ruijerd on this. He's just like, hey, look, knock it off. Like, you don't have to immediately kill somebody because you don't agree with them, because we're trying to help boost your reputation. You gotta chill out, dude. You just take a step back. In the next chapter, as they're talking more with P Hunter, Rudy decides to kind of take on Viskel and Jalil as allies. Through this, he wants to use them to kind of help rank up Dead End a bit, where it's like, okay, P Hunter, they're a rank above us. They can get better jobs and all that, and we want more money. We need more money, so that way we can just leave. So what they end up doing with these people is they have P Hunter rank up. Now, they weren't going to rank up. They were just going to stay in the ranks so that way they can do these pet finding jobs, but P Hunter ends up ranking up so that way they can take on tougher quests, and they would give those tougher quests to Dead End to take care of, and Dead End would take, you know, the simple jobs like, oh, the pet finding jobs, for example, give those to P Hunter, and through that the idea is like, okay, you guys are going to be acting as Dead End doing these jobs. So it's like, okay, great, we're making Dead End get this reputation, this good reputation of being good people. You know, hell, we even saw with this first girl with this original pet finding job where like she immediately said that the job was completed even before they completed the job and brought the pet back, and that was because she looked at Ruijerd and trusted him when he said that they were going to find her pet. So that's really cool, that's really neat. But like the whole thing with this, the whole crux of all this is mainly just Ruijerd's reluctancy with this, because like he doesn't like this. He has standards, he has morals that he needs to just stick with. He looks at these guys, these P Hunter people, and he's just like, these guys are bad news. I do not like them. They kicked you, they hurt people, they kidnapped pets. I am not a fan of these people. Why are we helping them? Why are we getting involved with them? And I mean, Rudy does, you know, talk to him, and Eris in a way too kind of like chastises Ruijerd, because it does get kind of heated as well. Again, Ruijerd reluctantly agrees to the plan and all that, and yeah, so the plan set, the operation is in motion, everything's kind of going smoothly too. Like, again, Ruijerd's able to get his reputation up. He's also, you know, making sure P Hunter are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and yeah, everything's going great. We got some upgraded armor, all that stuff, and after about 3 weeks, Dead End, you know, they're able to rank up a bit in the Adventurers Guild, and really they could end it there. They could end everything, their relationship with P Hunter, they could leave the town and be well on their way. But Rudy, he wants to earn just a little bit more. He's like, I'm fine with what we have. Like, what we have will get us where we need to go, but maybe just a little bit more. We need just a little bit more before we leave. So they end up taking on a B rank task. The task is for them to find this mysterious creature and report on it, and if they're able to, kill it. Again, it's a B rank task, and they end up meeting up with 2 other groups at this forest, the Tokurabu Village Toughs again, and a group called the Super Blazers, and they all are on the similar quest, because like Super Blazers are there to kill a monster, and the Tokurabu Village Toughs are there to collect these eggs and all that. So they end up kind of having a competition where it's just like, all right, well, first come, first serve when it comes to the beast and all that. And Rudy, again, this is where we get to the climax of like how Rudy's been thinking throughout this whole time in his new world. His main focus right now is helping Ruijerd get his reputation up. And he's blinded by that to the point where like they're following the Village Toughs, and these monsters come up, and they're these very tough monsters. What were they? They were executioners and almond anacondas. These executioners are basically like zombies. All right, so there's really no point in fighting and killing them. It's just like, hey, run away, because it's not going to be a good time. But Rudy wants to wait till the last second. He wants to pull that whole hero comes in at the last moment to save everybody, and it ends up biting him in the ass, because one of the kids dies. Like, the one kid gets beheaded and all that. And so when that happens, Rudy is like flipping out. He's just like, oh crap. And at that point, Ruijerd's had enough, because he's been, you know, holding himself back and like not going out there, not going down there to help these people. And as soon as that happens, he's just like, yeah, fuck you, Rudy, I'm helping them. So him and Eris go down, kill the monsters, and Rudy ends up going down there as well. The one kid in the Village Toughs, he's so grateful for Rudy and his comrades coming to help them. But it's not what he thinks. It's not what he seems. Because then Rudy and Ruijerd have another argument where Ruijerd's just like, hey, Rudy, the fuck? I wanted to help these kids and you held me back. You are a horrible person. Why would you do that? Why would you make me wait? Why would you just watch these kids as they died? And like, Rudy already knows this. Like, he knows in his mind that he fucked up. And then we get to a point where the one kid who, you know, kind of the main kid in the group that we talked to and all that, sorry, I'm escaping with his name, so apologies on all that. But he ends up going up to Ruijerd. He's just like, hey, I think I get what's going on. I want you to know that we were resolved in dying. Like, we knew becoming adventurers was going to be a big task and a big thing for us. We went into this with the resolve that we are warriors. We are going into battle and we may die. So we were prepared for that outcome. We didn't want the outcome to happen, but hey, we were prepared for this. And this clicks something in Ruijerd, and we find out just how he wants to view people. He views people as warriors, and like, he will respect somebody and their decisions if they're an honorable warrior. And this kind of helps tone him down a little bit. He puts Rudy down from like holding him by the collar and all that, and you know, Rudy's still feeling bad about all this, but like, Ruijerd at least is resolved in it now. He's like, okay, you know what? I see that. You guys aren't kids. You guys are warriors. And Rudy, like, we'll see this later on too, where Rudy even pulls that card. It's just like, hey, look, we're warriors now. Look at us as so. I mean, we even saw it earlier in this volume 2, where he asked Ruijerd to help him and Eris learn the ways of the world and how to survive and all that. So the village toughs end up taking their friend's dead body out of there. They leave, head back to town and all that, and Dead End end up meeting up with the Super Blazers, who are all just, you know, there's one over there, there's one dude's arm over there, a leg's in a tree, some guys are disintegrated, like, they are just wiped out. And they find the monster. It's an A-ranked monster known as a Red Hood Cobra. And this fight's pretty cool, because, like, we're seeing that Ruijerd can go all out with this. And he literally tells Rudy, he's just like, hey, let me take care of this by myself. But like, Rudy and Eris still want to help and all that, so they do and all that. And Rudy actually kind of struggles with this fight, because the Cobra is able to like dodge some of his attacks and is able to block a lot of them. And it's not until like an opening happens from Ruijerd that Rudy's able to, you know, ultimately kill this thing. But like, Rudy's finally meeting up with a challenge. He's finally being challenged in this world, so that's nice to see and all that. As the group's coming back from the petrified forest back into the guild hall, they run into good old Nekopara. This horse dude has finally figured out what them and P Hunter have been doing, and it's something very taboo with the whole switching of the jobs and all that thing. And he basically blackmails them into giving him money if he can prove that right and all that. And so they go around town. This is one thing I really like too, because like, the anime just skipped right to the end part with Ruijerd actually revealing that he is a Superd. But like, in the novel, we actually go around the town and kind of meet with people that have been working with Dead End. You know, and a lot of those people that were working with Dead End were working with Jalil and Vescal. We're seeing that the plan to boost Ruijerd's reputation was working to a point, until they get to the frickin' inn that they're at, and the stupid boy from the Tufts is all like, oh, thanks for helping us in the forest, guys. We really appreciate you doing that for us. And it's like, dude, why? You just fucked everything up for us. The one thing I really enjoy about these light novels is the fact that we get to hear and see what Rudy's mindset is. Not only just Rudy, but it's like some other people and all that. Especially with Rudy here, because Rudy's trying to figure out what are we gonna do. And he comes up with like 3 options. It's either 1, we kill Nekopara, okay. 2, we go along with Nekopara's blackmailing and all that and giving him money and everything. Or 3, we just kind of cut our ties and losses, just try to run away. At that point, when Rudy finally, like, he resolved himself to kill Nekopara at this point. And that's when Ruijerd had dumped water on himself, getting rid of the hair dye that was like masking his presence, or, you know, hiding himself, disguising himself. Sorry, I know words. I know the English language very well. But like, yeah, so now his hair's showing, he's showing his little jewel, and that's when he threatens Nekopara, and he's just like, look, you're gonna let us go. If not, I'm gonna kill you. And if I find out in the next town that my right as an adventurer has been revoked because of you, I'm coming for you. So everybody pisses their pants, they leave, and then Dead End have to leave the village and all that, because it's just like, yeah, you are with a Superd, get the hell out. And I like too how we kind of meet up with that kid from the village toughs, because Rudy actually confronts him. He's just like, look, why did you freak out when Ruijerd revealed himself? You know he's a good guy. He freaking saved your life, for God's sakes. It just goes to show how deep the fear of the Superds goes. Because, like, yeah, even though one just saved my life, I don't care. I'm still afraid of them. I'm still terrified by them. And so they meet up with Ruijerd out in the boonies and all that, outside of town. And they all have a new sense of resolve as warriors. Because, like, again, Ruijerd could see that Rudy was ready to fight to kill. He was ready to fight to protect Eris. And that's the main thing that Ruijerd looks in the person. What are they fighting for? He knows that Rudy is fighting for Eris. He's fighting to make sure that Eris is safe and that Eris can get home safe. And that's when Ruijerd finally, like, acknowledges Rudy as a warrior. And then the next morning, Ruijerd shaves his head. So he gets rid of his hair. That way they can actually go into towns and people aren't immediately afraid of the Superd that are with these children and all that. So next chapter comes up. We got chapter 14. This was like a long volume when it comes to like chapter length and all that. But Dead End hold a team meeting and they basically make it a democracy. They basically say, hey, look, we're going to talk through everything so that way I'm not just making blind decisions anymore. I'm going to come to you guys and we're going to talk things through so that way we can maybe get some different perspectives on everything. And they decide that they're gonna go to Windport, they're gonna get a boat to go to the Millis continent, and then hopefully get a boat to the Central continent. And after a year of travels, they're able to get to Windport, and that's where we end the main portion of this volume. Now we have an extra chapter where, so if you've seen season 2, like I have, you know who this is all about. So we basically meet the second princess of the Ashura Kingdom, Ariel, pardon me for pronouncing these names, Ariel Enamoy Ashura. And we meet one of her bodyguards, who's Luke Notos Grey Rat. So another Grey Rat we get to meet. They're basically having their usual tea time, talking about the future, as one of her other bodyguards, her magician, Derek Redbat, tries to convince her to go for the throne. So, like, we kind of start learning that there's this political struggle within the Ashura Kingdom, like, and I mean, we already knew that with, like, the Grey Rat side of things, with Philip and all that, but now we're learning that there's more to, like, this whole big political game. So I'm wondering, too, like, I know I had my theory of Rudy becoming, like, a diplomat and all that. This could be part of it, too, because, like, I mean, I have season 2 knowledge as well. So it's like, okay, I could see Rudy being this diplomat for, like, these different kingdoms or, like, these different continents and countries and all that. Ariel thinks this is dumb. Because she doesn't want any part of this, because, like, she already knows her older brothers are going to do it. She doesn't really want to get involved in all of that. And she tries not to until Derek overhears this conversation that First Prince and his little gang members, I'm just going to say they're gang members. So Derek hears this conversation that they're going to try to take out Ariel because she's somebody of the people. Like, she has this connection with the people, and, like, because of that influence, that could give her political power and all that. And so Derek wants to stop all this. He wants to make sure she's not assassinated and all that. And when he goes to tell Ariel all this, that's when the displacement incident happens. And we have this D-rank Terminator board just showing up out of nowhere in this garden and ends up killing Derek and going after Ariel. And it's cool too, because, like, we get this world building, or at least this characterization of Derek, of being, like, this person. He doesn't often pray to gods, and, like, he's just, like, that type of person, but, like, he's sitting there praying for an angel to come to protect Ariel. And then that's when this white-haired boy, again, quotations, we'll get into why there's quotations when we get our other bonus chapter in volume 4, but, like, this white-haired boy is falling from the sky, uses this big magic attack, and ends up killing the boar and bracing their fall and all that. So yeah, so Derek dies, and that's where we leave with, like, this bonus chapter. Now again, I have season 2 knowledge, so I've seen that extra episode. I know who this white-haired boy is. Again, it's a short chapter kind of introduce this concept, and that's what I kind of like about these extra chapters. We see what everybody else during the displacement incident, what they're up to. Like, the last chapter we saw what Ghislaine was doing when it was like that little war going on in the one continent, and she basically became like the guardian spirit of that force and all that before, you know, trying to head back to Vatoa. Here we're meeting this white-haired boy with this other group of Ashiran nobles, and just getting more, again, world building of like some of these political powers within the world of Mushoku Tensei. But that is actually where Volume 3 leaves off. So I'm gonna stop rambling here. I thought Volume 3 was really good. I thought, like, just again, this was more about world building and more about like setting our stage for getting home and all that. Like, we spent a lot of time in the Demon Continent, learned a bit about like their currencies, the Adventurers Guild as well going forward, and like that's one thing I really appreciate about these light novels. They really go into detail with, you know, what the world is all about and what we're getting into, and they give you enough detail where it's like it's not too much on the brain to comprehend, but it gives you enough to know that like when Rudy goes for a job, you're like, okay, this is what he's going to be doing. Like the whole thing about like the switching jobs and all that thing between different ranks, like it makes sense after learning about the ranking system in the Adventurers Guild and all that, and just how like they have these like cards too that like they can change languages and all that stuff. And it's just like this volume is just really good in that aspect, just kind of like telling us what the world is all about. Because like, again, we had enough of the Vatoa region. Let's go into this desolate place known as the Demon Continent, where it's very dangerous and all that, and see what that's all about, you know. And again, it's kind of like the boonies a bit, so like their currency is a little different than everybody else's, but we'll learn more about that in like Volume 4. But I'm gonna end it there. So thank you for taking your time to, you know, listen to me ramble a bit about Volume 3. I'm still catching up with like what I've listened to and what I'm currently listening to. I did have to take a bit of a break because of the holidays, and again, like my voice did get shot because of getting sick, so a lot of production has been put on the back burner with a lot of things, but we're coming back with it all. We're here, and yeah, I'll catch up here, and then we'll be, you know, right on the money with live content getting into the new year and all that. So again, thank you guys for checking out the video. Let me know down in the comments anything that I may have skipped over that we could talk about. You know, I know I didn't, again, I'm not going super into detail with all these volumes. This is more of just like my initial thoughts with all these and how like certain things that I've pinpointed and taken away from these volumes and all that. So yeah, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on Volume 3 or Mushoku Tensei in its entirety and all that, and be sure to like the video if I entertain you in any way, shape, or form, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next volume discussion review kind of thing that I'm doing with this series. And as always, people, I've been your world champion, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.
I don't need you, better things are coming on the way. I won't hear from you at all.